Hi, welcome to the Kaylie and Carol show. We're going to share some spirit stories. Kaylie has a story she wants to share, and then we're going to get right into the conversation.
So this happened not to like the last week or so, but it was just really cool because I couldn't explain it or like understand how it even happened, which is why I thought it was really cool. So I was in a reading with a client, and I was connecting to this client's mom. And we were well into the reading, I think, like almost halfway. So I already knew all of the information, the evidence that it was her mom and things like that. And there was at one point, sometimes spirit will bring through things that we don't fully understand yet, or it's just like a piece of information that we know we have to say, but we have no clue what is going to come after it, and we have to go deeper into it. And so in this instance, I literally told the client, I was like, okay, this is a little random, and I'm not totally sure what it means yet. I'm going to have to go deeper into it, but I need to say it first. And I said, your mother keeps showing me a phone. And I said specifically, I'm seeing like one of those old phones on the walls, like the old style ones. And it's ringing. And I was like, did your mom like have one of these phones in her home? And she said she did, but we didn't fully still understand what she was trying to say. And I said, okay, hold on, let me figure out why she's bringing this up. And as soon as I said that, my phone starts going off in the middle of the reading. If you know me, you know I'm very prepared and particular, and the way that I shut my phone down, I put it on do not disturb, like the volume's completely shut down so that I can't get any disruptions, because I hate to be disrupted during a reading or anything like that. And so my phone started going off, and at first I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is so embarrassing. But then I was like, wait, it was my mom. It said mom. That's all I read was mom. And I said, wait, we were just talking about the phone ringing from her mom.
Yeah.
And me and my client started laughing. I was like, I am so sorry. Like, this has never happened before, but it's literally my mom calling. And she said, I think it's my client said, I think it's my mom trying to come through and say that she's here.
Unbelievable. And I don't know if you remember, but that happened to me one time too.
Oh, really?
And it was not someone's mom or anything like that, but same thing. It's on do not disturb. My ringers, and I even checked it all after.
Yeah.
But it was important. It was the person's loved one that just did stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I love that, because that is the stuff that are like, that's the kind of evidence and stuff that's huge for me. Yeah. Like the timing, we could say, look, everything's off. Like we could prove to them that this is not me, and just how spirit works and how spirit it manipulates the energy or works with the energy.
Because I feel like if it would have happened at the end or the beginning, like it wouldn't have made as much of an impact as right as those words were coming out of my mouth and we were talking about the phone ringing that her mom was showing me. And the message that started to come after it, because I was like, no, I want to figure out what this means, because it happened, but I was like, but there's still something more to it. The message for my client was more like, her mom is here. Like, she's here. She's sending her signs. She's around her. So to stop doubting it. So again, that's what I asked. I was like, she makes me feel like, you second guess the signs, or you're totally not sure. And she said, like, she can understand that. Like, that's how she is. She's never 100% sure, or she questions it. But that was something that was so obvious, so blatant, that her mom was like, you need to stop second guessing it. Like,
and I think a lot of people, I know I do, I'm the person who's like, I need a signier sign.
Yeah.
But I don't think I am like that anymore. But it did take me probably a decade before I stopped needing a signier sign. I just like to be like 100% certain. But I think a lot of people, just to know that it's normal, a lot of people aren't sure, and they just want that validation over and over. But once you could get to the other side of that, that's why I'm like, just like accept it. Accept the sign and say, thank you, Mom. Even if you're just like, was that a reach or was that a stretch? Right. Just continue to put the energy into thank you. Yeah. And you'll see it shift. And I've seen it with my clients, and it's really amazing. And you could stay in that, like, I need a sign your sign, as long as you want, but you're not going to get like the best things that are waiting for you, like right there.
Because there's like a level of resistance.
Yes, that's why.
Blocking it from coming through. But just saying thank
but it's
you,
okay. But
even
just
if you're still unsure, I can definitely see how it opens up to
absolutely.
to receive more.
So that's awesome.
Getting into the conversation today, we were sitting here, we always think about what we can talk about 5 minutes before we sit down. And what I was thinking about, or what we were thinking about, was talking about how to kind of let go of your old self through different chapters of life and through these changes, and how to let that stuff unravel without totally like letting yourself go, losing yourself, burning everything to the ground, whole new, whatever it is. Because through these moments, I feel like of big change and expansion or growth or healing, sometimes we could get in those moods, I feel like, of just like getting rid of everything emotionally, mentally, physically. I know that's how I am physically. When I get in a mood, I just get rid of everything. I'm like, I just need to start fresh. I need to, but this is more like mentally and emotionally. And I feel like I personally am going through a time in my life that is full of like transformation and changes. So by the time this episode comes out, I will be, because it's coming out next week, I'll be in my new place so I'm moving out next week, as well as expecting in a couple months. And I feel like, as I was sitting here talking about it with you and just thinking about everything that's coming up, it really is a time of like transformation and unraveling. And I was just thinking, and it's really interesting to kind of notice, like, so for example, through this time, these last few months, through all of these changes and within myself emotionally, everything that's kind of coming up, I feel like I have been kind of just doing a good job of trying to sit back and just be aware of like what's happening within me. And like something I'll give a specific example, was I used to keep going back to the last 6 months of last year was like the time of my life. And I went on a couple of trips. I was traveling. The business was doing insane. Like everything was just like so much more than I could have ever asked for. Like everything was falling into place. So then when all of this stuff started happening at the beginning of the year, I was out for 2 months sick. And then I found out, that I'm expecting, and then the move and all this stuff. I was really struggling looking back on, like, everything was going so good. Mm-hmm. Like, what the heck do I do now? Mm-hmm. Or like, how do I move forward? How do I get back there? And I feel like the last month or so is where I've been learning to kind of sit back and give myself grace, because when we were talking about this before, I shared a quote, like, people always say when you're healing, you're not like turning into a new person. You're letting go of the things that were never you to begin with. You're coming home to yourself. And I feel like that is so important. And I realized through this, because these were my thoughts in the beginning of the year, how do I get back there? I'm not doing what I was last year. I'm not doing as much as I was. I'm not working as much or as hard as I was, or whatever it is.
And it's so cool being on the sideline, because it's for myself too, a reflection for myself, thinking, you're doing so much. It's just in a different area. Physically, your body's doing so much, and that's just one thing. But you're also preparing to, like, there's so much preparing to have a new home, preparing to have a baby, to like there's so much going on. And we were talking about this too, how stressful it could be, and how like there's just so much to get done. And that's why I was saying earlier, I'm like, we should talk about time. Sometimes there's not enough time, and sometimes time drags. And in a case like this, there's busy seasons in our life. And if staying on the side and observing, like you were talking about, just kind of also opening up that door to how amazing and beautiful all these, like leaning in, I know it's hard, leaning into the excitement of, oh my God, I'm going to have a new place that I could decorate. Like you're going to be there forever. Not forever, but like it's just the point of transitioning, getting to that, and then preparing, and then the baby's here, and then you could breathe. But just like leaning into like, oh my God, like there's so many beautiful things happening and coming.
And I feel like that those transitions between these different chapters in life is where so many people struggle with, because they don't want to let go of that old self, or those old things that were working, or even if they weren't working but they were comfortable. Like that's where people get stuck. And I was gonna say, as I've been kind of sitting back and trying to just give myself grace through this time, I've been noticing like some comments from people that are making me think like, oh, am I not doing enough in my work? Or, oh, they're right, I did work so much more 6 months ago, or like that. But it's not a bad thing, and it wasn't hurting me. It was more like I didn't take it personal. It got me to see my belief system connected to work and the effort that I have to put into things, and the way that life is supposed to be. Whereas these last few months, as I have been giving myself grace, and I know that that's what feels most in alignment for me right now, and giving myself just space and working as it flows instead of forcing, like it's allowing me to look at that belief like head on, to start to shift it and to see, no, because I know what I'm doing now, and I know that this feels more connected, and that I have more energy doing it this way, and I know that the work or the things that I'm creating in this space feels way more connected to me than what it was 6-7 months ago.
And I share this with all my clients or friends who want to connect themselves, you know, and I always share, I'm like, how to be a good medium really is living life, is being fully present in your own life and doing all the things, because it's there where we, I don't know, gather like everything to be who we are, what we want to share, and catch all the little things and the big things, like you're saying, set aside, have grace, observe. And what happened?
No, I was just making sure it was like recording. Ever since the last episode, I just had a little bit of a scare, so I wanted to double check. Sorry.
Yeah, so I forgot what I was going to say. But and even in your case specifically, this is something that we can look at, like having a baby, that things will change. Things are different. You aren't going to be your old self. You're going to be not someone else. So go ahead and get into that.
But there's so many, like even like when somebody passes away and like a death happens, like I'm sure you're a different person than you were when your father passed away, and a different person than you were after your mom passed away. Like these big life changes, like they happen to everybody in so many different forms, and they're things that really change us, like in so many different ways. And I feel like it's learning to notice that through each experience that something like this comes up, it really is bringing us closer to ourselves. And our soul.
So like in the case of a passing of a loved one, like what you were saying, so letting go of, maybe a lot of people we talk with, they have regrets, or they have, there's a lot of, we say coulda, shoulda, woulda's, like that they live with and sit in for a period of time. And I feel like again, the door's open. It's opportunity to live differently, like to shed that old, if you never kissed your mom goodbye or hugged your mom because you weren't a hugger or something like that, and then that's something that really
she's talking about me. I'm not
that's
a hugger.
something that really bothered you or something, and now
Yeah.
your mom passed away, and maybe that's going to bother you. For me, I always tell my clients, go start hugging people. Like, hug the people you love then. Like, so there's nothing that is, you don't have to hold on to the regrets and stuff because your mom is here and she, you know what I mean? Like, but you still you're still living. You still have this chance to transform and connect to your more authentic self and do the things that you wish you could have done. So that kind of thing.
That's what I mean. I feel like when it comes to change and big transitions like this within life, people, it's so easy to get stuck in who you were because that's all you know. Whereas like the unknown is what's scary, it's what's uncertain. And so a lot of us can get stuck thinking like, no, that was the best that I could have gotten, like I had it all, or everything was going good, or whatever it is that's running through our head in these times of transitions when we're letting go of things that are no longer meant for us. Even if there was pain in the situation or whatever it is, like we get stuck on these things that run through our heads through these transitions because that's all we've ever known. And like I just said, the unknown is what's uncertain and scary. And it's like we can't imagine like what could be coming. That's why it's scary. But if we can see this transition or this change or this unknown as like an opportunity, like you were kind of talking about, like an opportunity to start giving hugs or whatever it is, to change, like that's what can become of this unknown. And that's the part that is really up to us and like our free will when we're put in a position of change and growth. And like I said, coming back to yourself, like it's for us to figure out what does that mean to me? Like what is this coming back to myself? Is it deepening this connection in a new way through giving hugs or like whatever it is?
That's exactly how I view it. I feel like you're giving your mom a hug by giving other people hugs, because your mom who transitioned is here with you and is never leaving, is forever connected to you. And so proud of you and happy and feeling your hug because that is the part of you that's the part of, you know what I mean? Like, so it's so beautiful that we can continue to get closer to ourselves and be authentic, or to our authentic self, and continue to like just show up the way we want to show up. There is no missing the boat type of thing that like you can, And
I think to do that through the times of like change and transitions is really just like the answer is always going to be just slowing down and becoming aware of yourself and these moments. And like I said, trying to take the back seat once in a while to observe the things that are happening so that you can create change consciously moving forward. We just had a conversation in the car yesterday where you were like, no, because I was just saying, I'm just stressed and I don't want to deal with it. And like whatever, like I didn't want to change anything. Like, just let me be mad. Like, just let me be stressed and whatever it is. And sometimes that's beneficial. Like you have to let you meet yourself where you're at and be in that space.
But I'm a fixer. I try to watch it, but
and she was saying, but this is when it counts. Like in this moment, like this is when you have to go to your tools and whatever it is that calms you or that lets you, shift your mindset out of the stress and anxiety, which I think is so true too.
Because I said, next month when things are settled, you're going to reflect back. We all do. Reflect back. I shared this story. I broke a rib a couple years ago, and I was on the couch for 6 weeks. I mean, I got up and held my rib, and I still had to clean and vacuum and everything because I had to. But I was miserable. I couldn't do it. It's very painful when you break a rib, and you can't really do much. So I was on the couch, not doing much. And when it was over, I had a Reiki session, not when it was over, but when I was starting to move around better. And Jesus came to me and said that, remember, we talked about this because my sister said something, remember? But we talked about this, that, what was it? That suffering, pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And it was for me in my Reiki session in that moment, but I got it and I felt a release out of my leg. But then I started thinking, I'm like, I was on the couch for 6 weeks. I could have read a whole book. I could have had my coffee on the couch and been like, oh, can you bring me this? I could have done that, but I had to get up and vacuum. Yeah. I had to be miserable. I had to do all these things. But when I was busy then, back to work, back to being busy, I was like, now I was tired and I wanted a break and I wanted to get on the couch. And I was like, man, I really want to read a book. Like I would like a 6-week vacation on the couch. But at the time, I was too busy. Yeah. So that's why our conversation yesterday, I'm like, now is the time. Don't stay in that stress because you're going to regret it. So I'm like, please let me give you Reiki. Like, make sure, whatever. So even before this episode started, I was telling her about Reiki. I'm like, because it's in when we can implement our tools, and we don't have to do them every day or whatever, because it is important to be stressed too, because that's a whole, not that it's important, but it's important to meet yourself where you're at, like what you were saying.
Right.
But you also just know you have the power to always change that and shift that energy if you wanted to, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, meeting yourself where you're at, like, both examples are so important, because, like, I don't believe, like, you would have been able to come to that realization if you weren't, you know, stuck on the couch miserable. For the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you needed to go through that experience to learn.
So hopefully the next time I would maybe
do something a little different.
Do it a little different.
Or
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
But that's why, and you said you're a fixer, but I almost feel like that's why, like, you have to meet other people where they're at, because we can know what's right for them, and we can know, like, I already went through this, like, just listen to me, but it doesn't fully stick, I feel like, until you've kind of gone through it yourself, and it's something that feels more like connected to you. Like, it's always different when somebody tells you something. I feel like you never fully receive it until you experience it for yourself. And I feel like that goes, you know,
that's
into
true.
So many different
but just
areas.
Sometimes you listen to your mom because your mom knows things. Just sometimes try it out. But and you are, and you're doing amazing, and you're in a busy season, and we have many busy seasons throughout our lives.
You did, you brought up a good point in the beginning. Like, it really is, like, we just have to start seeing life as chapters or seasons, and giving ourselves grace when knowing that, like, each chapter is for a different reason. So I could be 100% in taking care of myself, working out, eating right for 6 months, a year, 5 years of my life, and then it starts to shift into something else because my soul learned what it needed to in that space. And I'm not going to lose anything just because I'm not 100% in that area right now. Doesn't mean I've lost everything. It just means everything that I've learned, it means that I'm shifting into something else that my soul's needing to learn right now. And so being able to see life in that way helps move through these different chapters more with, like, grace and understanding for ourselves.
And I think it's important to always be aware of the element of joy or having fun during different seasons, sad seasons, but busy seasons, all the things. And I'm only saying that because that's something that I struggle in, because I'm serious. No, I got to do that. Like, I'll have fun if the setting is perfect and this is where I'm supposed to have, but the other times, you know, this is serious and you got to get this, whatever. So I work on that myself, and just kind of whatever you can do during your day to bring some of that energy close to you, especially when you're in a stressful or busy season, because I think it always, I see it in readings all the time, and I love it. I just had a reading the other day where the woman lost her son, and I mean, she was crying before I even connected, really, and it was hard, or what word am I trying to use? But anyways, and he came through and stuff, but they do this a lot. He came through with like something that was so funny and she's laughing and I'm like, oh my God, he just wants to make her feel better. But so sometimes bringing that's what I'm saying, finding that for ourselves. And then it just shifts your whole, whether it's your whole hour or rest of your day, whatever it is. But so just keeping in mind, trying to, whatever lights you up, whatever, you know.
Well, let us know how you guys, or what you guys think about this and what you guys tend to kind of struggle with transitions or chapters in life. We always love to talk about it more with you guys, whether it's leaving comments or us responding in videos, whatever. But we always love to hear feedback. I almost wish we can like have a call-in button.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that would be. We actually could. We could talk about that.
Could play with it. But thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you.
And we'll see what comes up next week.
And yes.